Welcome to another episode of The Second Coming. No one left to crucify. I'm here with our minister, Brother T. I'm your host, Jason Keaton, and I have loved to be here today. Brother T, you had an exciting couple weeks. You just got back from Costa Rica.
I did, man. I had quite a journey, quite an experience in Costa Rica. Oh, I've got a new Costa Rica Pura Vida background.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
So Pura Vida means pure life, and it's kind of like a very common phrase in Costa Rica, I discovered. And some friends of mine bought this for me. I was telling them about our podcast, Jason, and we were walking from a restaurant back to our place where we were hanging out, and I said, "Oh, I'd like to get that for my podcast," and my buddy bought it for me. I'm saying, "Whoa,
Nice.
That's pretty cool." So if you guys are out there, Amy and Brian, thanks so much for the background. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, it was
I'm
an
just gonna-
exciting couple of weeks. I've written about it a little bit. I might even include a chapter in my book about the experience I had there.
Yeah.
But anyway, more to come.
Absolutely. You want to talk about your favorite experience there? I mean, something that you weren't expecting, maybe.
I'm still processing. There was some difficulties and some amazing, downloads from, True Mind, and I'm still kind of processing that, and I'm writing about it, and so in the writing of it, I'll ferret out some stuff that I might want to share here with us at some point. But no, I'd rather just let's just kind of stay normal course here. I'm still kind of getting settled back. I've only been back, just been back a week today, actually.
Absolutely.
And, still settling.
Yeah, well, let me just jump right in because while you were away, I had several questions come in from friends and neighbors, and I'll take them in chronological order of how they were presented to me, but they all kind of blend a little bit because they all come from a questioning source. Feels like people around me in my reality are starting to see things and start to question and are curious about spirit. So they're not far along. They're actually just starting out. And the first question comes from a friend, and she's wondering if divine intervention is real. And her specific question and example was like, why does it seem like no matter what cards some people are dealt, they come out clean and blessed almost, where other people just seem to trudge through life and get stuck in the mud?
Stuck in the mud?
Yeah.
That's better than being stuck in the tar, I guess. that washes off easy.
Right.
That's some good questions. So the question really is about divine intervention. Is divine intervention real? Is it happening? And is what's going on? So let's call in a little guidance, and we're going to see if we can connect with True Mind here and allow that voice to kind of guide our responses in our conversation. Let's take a good deep breath. Word, I am word. I am word through this intention. Word, I am word. I am word through this vibration. Word, I am word. I am word through the knowing of myself as word. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free. I am free. I am free. I am here. I have come. Behold, I make all things new. It will be so. God is. God is. God is. Divine intervention. Is it a real thing? Well, yes, and not so much. We have free will. I don't know if anybody's noticed. We have free will here. And we are the ones who said, oh, I want to go play the game of separation. I want to pretend to be God. I want to imagine what it would be like to be a thinking self. And so, metaphorically, the story in the Bible of Adam and Eve is just a metaphor for the idea, what Jesus says is a tiny mad idea in A Course in Miracles, that we could play the game of separation. So here's a question I have for the one who's asking the question. So when you go to sleep at night, is the self that you're being during the day, does it provide divine intervention at night if the sleeping self has a bad dream?
I'm sure not, right?
I'm going to say not. I mean, if it's a pretty horrible dream, you can wake up, right? And the dream, you can see the dream for what it is. And there are those who, Byron Katie, Eckhart Tolle, there are some people that have had just a horrible experience here to the point that they were at a point of taking their own life. And suddenly they had a experience of enlightenment. Would we call that divine intervention? I think we could, because we are divine. We are God's perfect children. And we can dream a dream, but that doesn't make it real. And no matter what we do here, it doesn't change what we are. We're perfect. We're not subject to vulnerability. We're not subject to death. We're not subject to pain and sickness or any of those things that we're experiencing here. Well, then why are we having this experience? Because we're trying to do the impossible thing. We're trying to pretend that we're separate from God. So what would it be like rather than an experience of being separate from God, which is, although it's impossible, we can pretend, we can imagine, we can dream about it. And while we're doing that, how could that be a good dream? Because we're trying to be different than what we are, different than what God has created us to be. We even went to the extent of creating a thinking self to fill the void because we separate ourselves from the voice of God. So is it divine intervention if my true self, my true mind, the Holy Spirit, nothing more than my right mind, might actually get my attention and help me wake up in the middle of a nightmare? I would say, yeah, if you want to call that divine intervention, but it's you helping yourself. The Holy Spirit is nothing more than your right mind. It is you, right? The process that we're here to accomplish is to wake up from the illusion of separation, to wake up from the game of chance, to wake up from the idea that we could be separate from God. Even though it's just a dream, our mind is so powerful, it sure seems real, sometimes dramatically so. So can we intercede on our own behalf? Yeah. You can kind of shake yourself up, a bad enough dream, and you'll kind of wake yourself up out of it. You could even have a lucid dream at night and realize that you're dreaming and play. And what can you do? Anything. You could walk on water. One time I had a lucid dream and I said, well, yeah, what can I do in a dream? I can fly. And I started flying, levitating off the ground, and then took off flying over the woods, over a mountain. You can do anything you want to once you realize that it's just a dream. And so that's really the crux of it. When we say divine intervention, is God going to come and do something for you because you're having a nightmare? No. God gave you the power to dream. So if you have the power to dream, you also have the power to wake up from it. Stop dreaming. You're not imprisoned in your own mind. You are still all powerful as God has created you to be. An extension of the power of God is what you are. And capable of extending love in every situation, even here. In the middle of a dream, we're extending love, and all love is maximal, and all love comes from our true self. All love comes from God. So there's people who want to believe that there's a power greater than them, and that that power is a puppet master and directing them around and, creating their experience and bringing experiences to them that are good or bad. To some extent, that's true, but it's not God. It's your soul. Your soul is an adolescent soul who is learning and growing, and she's growing through your experiences as an ego. What you are not is the ego. What you are not is the personality self that you've created yourself to be. And you are not your creator. You're not beating your heart right now. You're not circulating your blood through your system. You're not controlling your brain synapses and all that stuff. That is who your soul is, who you really are. That this powerful entity, which is an extension of God. All that to say, yes, I think we do have experiences that our soul kind of puts us through, so that it can mature and grow through those experiences. And it's not as compassionate about the ego's idea of what's good or bad or right or wrong as, we might think it might be. But it's not God. God is just basically waiting for us to wake up, right? And so what is our purpose here? Our purpose is to be more of God. And once we awaken from this illusory experience of being asleep at the wheel, then the soul can start to withdraw its awareness and consciousness away from the thinking self, the egoic mind. And once that spaciousness has been accomplished, then peace and fulfillment begins to occur in our life. We begin to experience true joy and true peace, and we begin to become reunited in union and relationship with our true self, with the Holy Spirit, nothing more than our right mind. And as we allow that reintegration, that rearticulation to occur, we literally become the expression of God in form, like our brother Jesus. We literally become more of God. We become Christ. That is more of God in form.
I love that. I love that. And do you think that's why sometimes people that are find them true self rising in consciousness, remembering who they are? Do you feel like that is sometimes perceived by someone that doesn't understand or isn't quite there yet as being helped with divine intervention?
I'm not sure I quite understand your question, but you don't rise to your true self. Your true self isn't rising. Your true self is all-knowing. Your true self is what you are perfectly. Your true self is your true self. It is you as God created you to be, where not even a sliver of that self is pretending or asleep and dreaming. It's like when you wake up in the morning, what part of the sleeping self are you? None. You transition completely away from it. The sleeping self doesn't arise to be the egoic self during the day. It literally just stops being because it wasn't real. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
So,
ask your question again, but it's not the true self that's growing.
okay,
It's the soul. The true
sure.
self is the Holy Spirit, which is the voice of God. Never disconnected and never, the communication was never interrupted or diminished in any way whatsoever. The true self, the Holy Spirit, nothing more than your right mind, is and always will be 100% itself. It's not a sleeping self in any shape, form, or fashion. It's not deluded. It's not illusional. It's not delusional about its existence. It's perfect, just as it is, just as God has created it to be. It is your true self,
I like that.
undiminished.
So, what I've heard you talk about um, levels of consciousness and comparing it to glasses that people could see with gray
Mhm.
glasses and blue glasses. What would you describe to, let's say I'm wearing blue glasses right now. What is that? Is that my egoic self that's seeing things through blue glasses, or is that like I described it as a rise in consciousness, and you kind of corrected me on that. So
Well, well, if you're
what is the level of consciousness?
in that case that you're referring to, there is a graduation, and so we could say using the word rise. But to just jump into a blue glasses discussion without any background, it wouldn't really mean anything to our audience.
Sure,
So
sure.
let me just say, let me just back up a little bit and just say that when you begin to wake up in the morning, is it suddenly like you're in the dreaming state and then boom, bam, you're awake? Completely different shift immediately, instantaneously. You're suddenly, whoa, where was I? I don't even know, right? Or is it actually is a process of stepping out of one idea of yourself and emerging as another idea of yourself. And whether it takes 5 seconds or 15 minutes, you're starting to arouse out of a state of low consciousness, which is a sleeping self. You're not just slam dunked into, so now if somebody, and imagine a huge alarm going off and lights coming on like an emergency signal in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning, you would be rocked out of your sleeping state. And it was very uncomfortable if you ever had anything close to that, right? It's shocking to be
That
completely jerked right out of your state of sleeping, right? You have that, you probably have had that, something similar to that kind of experience, right?
absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's
Right?
not fun. Even when an alarm goes off at 4 a.m., that's not very exciting either.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's necessary, but it's startling to the body and startling. So our process of arising literally out of bed, right? Out of the state of the sleeping self into the state of what I call the sleepwalking self, the egoic daily life. So when we're talking about the glasses that Jason's referring to, is I teach a story and I use glasses, the four different color glasses. There's gray and then blue and then pink and then clear. And really what this is just a metaphor for the four broad levels of consciousness that was mapped out by Dr. David Hawkins in Power versus Force, a book that he wrote back in the 1990s, that he mapped out consciousness, levels of consciousness. And so in the first level of consciousness, the gray glasses are victim consciousness. And that's almost 80% of the world is in victim consciousness. So that's, and they can't see they don't know that there is any other level of consciousness. And then the next level was the blue glasses that Jason's talking about. That is what we call manifestor manipulator. And that is where you've attained a point of courage and integrity, and you're starting to take responsibility for your own thoughts. You're starting to take responsibility for your own actions. You're starting to see that you're not a victim. You were only being victimized because you believed you were being a victim, and that God didn't create victims. So here at this place, you become self-honest and you start to take responsibility. Okay? You start to hold yourself accountable for your experiences in life. And that's why, to go back to the earlier point that you made, the young lady's question, is why it seems like some people, no matter what they do, everything is roses and flowers and happy all the time, and other people are stuck in the mud all the time. It's because we are doing this to ourselves. Nobody's doing it to us. We're literally doing this to ourselves because we're unconscious of how powerful we are. And we have bought into the siren song of the world, which is that everybody's a victim. Everybody's being victimized. There's perpetrators hiding behind every tree and behind every bush, and they all have guns. Be careful. You'll be murdered on the subway. What's happening to us is us, nothing more. And so when we begin to take our power back and we start moving up the levels of consciousness, we start experiencing joy and bliss and peace and fulfillment because we've quit believing false ideas that the egoic mind, which is structured and founded in fear and blame and guilt, judgment, when we quit listening to that self, everything starts to change because now we're starting to wake up, like waking up in the morning, nice and slow, nice and easy. We're transitioning from one thought system to a completely different thought system. We move away from the thought system of fear, which is egoic construct, a false idea of self, a personality that we made up, and we begin to become in union and relationship in mind and heart. We become wholehearted. Our heart begins to open up and we become more spacious. We become limitless, which is our true identity. We are as God created us to be. And this is equanimical. This is true for everyone, everywhere, right? And when we have this experience, and it's something we work to and work for and work as, we begin to hear this quiet, beautiful, still, loving voice of the Holy Spirit, which is nothing more than our right mind. And then we find ourselves up in the pink glasses area. And maybe we become a mystic like our brother Jesus with clear glasses. And we know that we are what is, all that is. And everything we see becomes now a part of us because now we see this whole experience here in form for what it is. It's a dream. It's an illusion that we are manifesting as our experience in our mind. So these are big steps that we've covered in a few moments, but it can take lifetimes, maybe dozens, maybe hundreds. But in this time that we're in now, we're entering the ending of this age of creations, and things are speeding up, and more people are becoming enlightened to higher levels of consciousness. And you talked about that earlier when you started setting up your question. Yeah, more and more people are starting to, even though they don't realize exactly why, they're starting to have higher levels of conscious experiences because we're waking up. Humanity is waking up, and we will wake up. It's called the second coming. No one left to crucify.
I love that. And Brother T, I'm going to wrap this one in because this one is not this next question isn't a full podcast. It's something that can be tied in and answered easily enough by you. And it's more of, I have another friend that is just realizing that she was dreaming, and she was realizing that lies were being told from her. She's born and raised Catholic and pushed away like many people that didn't align with a formal religion, and now she's realizing that she is waking from a dream, and she's trying to figure this out, and she's seeking and searching, and she's pulling things from the internet that are more conspiracy based than love based spirituality. What advice could I give her to say, step back, and this is what spirituality should look like? This is what the vibration that you're feeling should look like. Because right now, she probably texts me 3 times a day about different things, and I pull them up, and it's a spiritual looking person from the egoic sense. They're dressed in the historical spiritual sense, and they're talking everything from flat earth to other conspiracies and trying to blend that into a spiritual conversation. So somebody that's truly waking for the first time or realizing they might be waking for the first time, where would you send them? Here, or would you send them someplace to kindergarten first? What's your suggestion, Brother T?
Well, I think, that's the wrong term. See, as soon as I start thinking, I start thinking. And
Right.
thinking means that I'm not being present, right? So I'm going to back up here and say, wait a minute. Let's check in with the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is nothing more than our right mind. But even in church traditional theology, we're taught that the Holy Spirit's separate from us, right? When God is separate from us, God's out there, up there somewhere. We're taught a lot of things that were intentionally taught to us so that those power structures, which were based in fear, and they promote fear. I'm a God-fearing person. I don't know how many times I'm in the South, so I hear that a lot from people actually saying that. And I'm like, oh, that's conditioned mind. But I just want to say, from my humble perspective, I can never tell anybody what spirituality is supposed to look like or what it's supposed to be like, because everybody's designing their own journey. They're designing their own particular journey. So the important thing is for us to help people to realize the power that they have is what they're experiencing is their own power. Now, misperceived and misdirected, it can create a pretty difficult time. But the difficult time we're experiencing isn't that there's a problem out there. It's just showing us that we're moving in the wrong direction. So in my perspective, my true and number one resource in all ways, and other teachers have helped supplement this for me considerably. But the go-to teaching for me is the purest and the best and the most perfect teaching, I believe, for all of us, because he is responsible for the entire planet's awakening. And he is the one who has showed us in no uncertain terms what we couldn't see before his demonstration. And that would be Jesus. Now, Jesus' message, and he did a lot of journaling, and all of his notes were confiscated and rewritten or destroyed. Most of what he taught was confused at best or eliminated altogether. And even his disciples back in that time just couldn't hold on to what he was teaching because they didn't really have enough exposure to it. And they had a tremendous amount of conditioning and that was a horrible period of oppression, not just from the Roman government, but from the church itself. And so there was tremendous laws, countless hundreds of laws that you were supposed to follow all the time. And there was a lot of oppression. People got crucified. That was regular entertainment for some people, but it was a regular form of punishment. So how can we discover Jesus' true message? Well, he said, I'll always be with you. And Jason, he has always been with us, but we have been slow to ascend. It's like swimming from the total darkness in the bottom of the ocean up to where you can start to see the light. We've been very slow. It's taken 2,000 years. But many people now are starting to ascend to a level so that they can see the light, they can hear the light, they can hear the conversation, they can be informed by the Holy Spirit, by nothing more than their right mind. They can begin to be directed by these voices that are channeling these teachers and leaders to us. And Jesus is on the top of my list. Now, Tina Louise Spalding, who is one of his favorite mediums to communicate to us through, actually recorded, and she's a trance channel, she recorded his autobiography. And in that autobiography, if you have a background in Catholicism, you're going to be blown away, right? Because you're going to learn some things I'll mention that'll probably freak you out, just as I mentioned them. Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene. They had 2 boys. He was a normal human person, just like the rest of us. And he had an experience of enlightenment. Now, he had been in process for how many millions of years? I don't know. But the point is that incarnation, when he came to us as Jesus, right? And he demonstrated to us the crucifixion was his intentional demonstration. The Jesus self happy about? No, it was very uncomfortable, very hard, but he knew 2 years in advance what was going to happen. And that was hard for his family. You know, he really was compassionate and had great empathy for his wife and his family, because they had to go through that experience where he was being crucified. All this to say that that's where I would direct anybody who can step away from the fear of conditioning, from the fear of going to hell for eternity and all that crap. And it's just crap. It's all made up to keep people as servants to those in power, and the glorification of those who maintained that power now for the last 2,000 years since Jesus was here. So he wrote his autobiography. First and foremost, not a long book. You can find it on Amazon, Tina Louise Spalding. Jesus, My Autobiography. Start there. If you can allow yourself to be taught by anyone, that's the only thing Jesus is asking. It's the only thing he's ever asked, is let me be your teacher. I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. It didn't mean he's the only way. He was saying, I am the truth. The truth is the only way. And he knows the truth. He experienced the truth. He had an experience of total enlightenment. I mean, totally, fully being accomplished as Christ, which is more of God in form, expressing love in form. He had that experience. And so let him teach you. If you're willing to trust Jesus, don't trust me. You don't know me. Don't trust Jason. I don't even trust Jason, right? Trust Jesus. If you'll let Jesus be your teacher, get that book. It's like $15 and read it and read it again and read it again and read it again. And once you have read that book and you truly, in your heart of heart, can accept Jesus as your teacher, the Holy Spirit will guide you to what you need next. It might be A Course in Miracles. It might be A Course of Love. It might be The Way of Mastery. It might be the Paul Selig's Guides. There's a lot of stuff out there, and Jesus has been it's volumes of corrected perception and information for us to know. And it's time, and we are learning. And it's voluminous, all the content that he's produced now through different mediums over the last 50 years. It's here for anyone with eyes to see and ears to hear. We have to let go of our fear that we're going to do something wrong. And that's a big one. And that's what we've been conditioned to believe through traditional theological constructs. But it's all bullshit. Jesus is not going to bullshit you. And very little of what he taught, very little of what he actually taught is in the Bible at all. So I know that's going to be hard for a lot of people that we're hearing this conversation, Jason, but that's where start. Let's just allow Jesus to be your teacher. Start with his book, Jesus, My Autobiography, and that's going to take you a while to accept that. It will. You need to read it several times because it takes a while to get past your conditioned mind that's going to tell you, no, this can't be true. Because when you begin to awaken to your true self, your egoic self, its days are over. Because you're going to become your true self as Christ in perfect safety. Can release all tension. But it's not done overnight. I've been studying now. I started with Buddhism, and Jason, I've been studying for 30 years to try to get my egoic mind out of my daily conscious, continuous, and uninterrupted, giving it my uninterrupted attention. It takes a little while, but that's all I'm asking anybody to do, Jason, is allow Jesus to be your teacher. He's teaching us now in a way that we never could before, but he can now because we've started to ascend. We're starting to wake up as a construct, excuse me. So, sorry about that. So that's my response to that question. It's a good question, Jason. But that's a great place to start with everybody. I'm going to buy more. I'm going to keep buying those books They're only $15, and I'm going to be passing them out to anybody that has any interest in learning the truth. That's a great place. I think the best place to start is to let Jesus and allow Jesus to be your teacher.
I love that, Brother T. And thank you so much for your enlightening words and your enlightening vision and helping all of us, no matter where we are on this path. And thank you, Dana and Jeannie, for your 2 questions. Thank your new friends for your beautiful backdrop there, the Pura Vida. So that's amazing. But Brother T, welcome home. Thank you so much for your love. And do you have anything else that you'd like to say, Brother T?
No, well, all is well. I mean, it really is. All is well. Everything is divine. It really is. Everything is divine already. We don't need divine intervention. Everything that we're experiencing is divine, right? It's just waking up to being able to see it as it's happening. And I just want to say thank you, my brother Jason, for co-hosting here with me. And also, I want to say thank you to our audience that have been so amazingly dialed in. I mean, I know it's not the whole world dialing in, because what we teach here is pretty radical. But there is an amazing group of dedicated dozens and dozens and dozens of people that are plugging into everything that we are sharing with the world here through True Thought. And so we say thank you for supporting us here at True Thought. You can, if you would like to share some love, make a contribution, you can do that at support.truethought.org. I'll put it up here on the screen for you. But every expression of love is maximal. And if you can donate a little bit and just help us keep the lights on, we certainly appreciate it. But in the meantime, my needs are being met, and Jesus has promised all of us that our needs will be met if we'll keep the main thing, and that is our relationship with God. I'm signing off. I love you all. God bless you. Bye-bye.
And God bless all of you. Thank you, and I will see you next week on another episode of The Second Coming.